Very good. Takes us to item 11, which is Regulator of Social Housing update, which I'll propose the recommendations for. And Councillor Carter, I think you're seconding those. Yeah. Very good. So just by way of brief introduction, everyone should be well acquainted with this now, given that we're reporting this to Cabinet each month. And the progress we are making against those things as the report details. We're continuing to work very closely with the regulator to finalise our improvement plan. We've had constructive feedback already and are moving forward along with that. I think what's important to note for Cabinet is that we are not waiting for that to be completed. As is seen across the sector, it can take some time to finalise that with the regulator, but in fact we're actually getting on and delivering those things without waiting. I don't think it should escape anyone's notice the scale of the work we are talking about, given that we are at the point we are in terms of the fire risk assessment specifically, the number of actions that puts towards us. But what we can certainly take comfort in is we are putting the resource, the governance, the finances and just about anything else we need to ensure that we tackle this head on and deliver that improvement plan come what may. And tackle those actions accordingly. So I think the report itself sets out quite clearly not just the progress we're making, but the challenge that we are facing to that end. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yep. That does. I'll see too. Yeah, what I'd like to add to this is these reports are now coming in to the Cabinet every meeting and they will show the latest position. The Council takes its responsibilities for safety and quality of homes very seriously. The Council continues to work closely with the Regulator of Social Housing to review and monitor performance. The improvement plan is being revised and this will come to the Cabinet in May. This is a big task as there is nearly 13,000 fire tasks that require attention. Also other compliance activities need completing. Getting this work done at pace is top priority for the housing team. As most of you know, 4 new housing officers are to be appointed, plus 2 apprentices to help with the workload. In the meantime, I would like to thank Cara and her team for taking on this extra task, which puts them under daily pressure.
Thank you. The only thing I also should have said is we continue to submit monthly performance reports to the regulator. I think our last one went off yesterday or in the last couple of days to that regard. So it really is full steam ahead with this. Are there any questions? Councillor Edwards?
Just a very brief question. You talk about what other wider compliance activities that need completing. Could you give us an example of what that phrase means?
Sorry, where are you referring to?
Paragraph 13, next step, it says there are now nearly 13,000 fire tasks that require attention and other wider compliance activities that need completing. So what does that, what I'm asking is, what does that phrase mean?
Yeah, so compliance in the round broadly refers, as I think the report says earlier on, to a number of elements, the big 6, 7 or 8 as it may well be. So again, if you look, for instance, at item 11, that lists about disrepair, smoke and CO2 monitoring. But it could be the water elements, could be lifts, gas, fire safety, so on and so forth. And that is to which that is referring. In fact, they are detailed for you in paragraph 14. Any further questions? Yeah, Councillor Pearce.
I have several questions. So my first question is, how will the Cabinet be reassured that the formatting of improving the improvement plan will be meaningfully improved and improve compliance and outcomes rather than just an improved presentation?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to say is obviously we've done an awful lot of work for the draft improvement plan that was submitted to the regulator last month and discussed that with them at length. We've had very helpful feedback from them in terms of what they're looking for, what they think would help us. We're obviously also looking at a number of other authorities that are in this position. The updated plan, based on that advice, the guidance we've had, other things we're doing, as the report details in terms of the compliance review and such the like, will therefore come back in May, and Cabinet will have its opportunity to debate and discuss that and be assured accordingly. Yeah, okay.
I have got two more questions, if that's okay. But I've got more than that, but I'll just go with two. What key matrix or milestones will be used to track progress towards achieving a C1 grading for the regulator or from the regulator?
Yeah, well, that's, you know, absolutely the aim and what we're working towards, undoubtedly. Like I said at the start, you know, the scale of the challenge that we have and the fact that I think I've been honest that the council has for a very long time failed to do some of the things it should have, and it's well detailed what we're now doing to address that. So enormous amount of work, enormous amount of resource we're putting into it. I think, you know, as a cabinet, we are committed to doing absolutely everything that we can. But, you know, what ultimately this comes back to is us being a good landlord, ensuring that our tenants have a good, safe home, and, you know, what that is, you know, what the improvement plan specifically is referring to is, you know, ensuring and giving us assurance as a landlord and tenants assurance that they have a safe home accordingly. Yep.
With nearly 13,000 fire-related compliance tasks outstanding, what are the realistic timescales for completion?
That's a very good question. And I think if you look at paragraph 5, where it details the sort of split in terms of the different themes that we're taking, for instance, you will see in some, in terms of programme works, you know, a single major works project to a block can knock off a significant amount of actions accordingly. I think what we need to give particular attention to, particularly given the number that there is the housing management actions, because we obviously have housing officers, we're employing more, as Councillor Carter said, we're reviewing the way that they work to ensure that we are addressing those as quickly as possible, without a doubt. I think, you know, I would hope are at a peak in terms of the outstanding actions. We've completed the FRAs accordingly at such a pace that has really ratcheted up the numbers. What Cabinet now should see month on month is a significant decline accordingly to that end. Yep.
One last one and I'll let somebody else. So, how is the tenants' feedback being gathered and used to assess whether the safety outcomes are improving them and in a meaningful way?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, in terms of the regulatory picture generally, and the tenant satisfaction measures and all of those sort of things, which rightly the legislation and the regulator puts at the heart, I think, you know, as we discussed at the last Cabinet meeting, we are doing a lot more to that regard to get meaningful feedback from tenants to improve the way that we engage, and leaseholders, and the way that we engage with them. There's all sorts of things being done in the flat blocks, you know, all sorts of information being put up. The way we communicate with our tenants is being reviewed accordingly, and obviously we will have the next round of tenant satisfaction measures coming forward very shortly too. Councillor Gump.
Thank you, and I'll start by commending Councillor Carter and the housing team on what they've achieved. I think when we first got this report some months ago, the scale of the task ahead of you was pretty steep, and you've managed to nearly complete 100% within time, so that's a fantastic achievement. And it's worth remembering that this is fire safety. People are in a much safer position now as a result of this work. I wanted to ask a question quite broadly about the role of the regulator. It does seem to me that the fire risk that we've identified here had been there for a long time. How important is the role of the regulator in identifying these deficiencies in housing stocks, not just in Harlow, but around the country and with housing associations? And has it been a positive addition from our point of view to have that scrutiny?
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, I'm unashamedly in favour of the role of the regulator, particularly in, you know, sort of the new role of it within local government. Obviously, housing associations and so on have had a slightly different engagement with it for a long time, but I think it's absolutely And actually our experience with the regulator and the engagement we continue to have is extremely positive and constructive more than anything. You know, ultimately what this is all centred around is us being a fantastic landlord and giving people safe, decent, warm homes to live in. And actually, I think as the report details and as part of all the other actions we're taking, whether it's the fact that, you know, we are spending double on housing what we were 5 years ago, the fact that we've increased our capital programme and our spending on housing by 23% since the last financial year, all of those things have been supported by the regulator. If you look at the improvement plan, we're reflecting the themes you know, based on their feedback, the independent validation. The reason we're commissioning the compliance review is to get independent validation about these other areas. So whilst you know, our other areas of compliance weren't what the regulator initially focused wholly on, we are now getting independent validation about how we are performing on those things. So I think absolutely the role of the regulator is the right one. It's been a challenging but extremely constructive process for us, and we will, you know, continue with that for a long time to come, I have no doubt. Yep.
Thank you, and that leads on to the second question I had, which was around the comments in paragraph 9, which set out that the regulator's initial focus has been around fire safety, but would now be looking at the wider elements of the safety and quality standard, including the remaining areas of health and safety compliance, stock condition and decency. Given one of our corporate missions is to transform Harlow's housing, how ambitious can we be, and what sort of conversations are you now having with the regulator, and how quickly can we deliver those improvements for our tenants?
Yeah, I think the you know, stock condition is a really good example where a significant shortcoming of the council for a long time has not been holding adequate stock condition data. We're addressing that. Has not been you know, carrying out fire risk assessments in the way that should have happened. We've addressed that. I think our commitment in terms of funding, resource, the action that we're taking, I think in huge part, tenants and leaseholders will see significant change, and in many areas already are seeing significant change accordingly. Further questions on this? Councillor Morrison.
Thank you very much, Chair. Obviously, it's of crucial importance that this work is carried out and that we meet the requirements of the regulator. We don't actually have a choice in this. Harlow Council doesn't have a choice. I noticed in the report reference to issues of no access. I wonder if you could give us a bit more information on that. So what is the scale of that particular issue, no access, and what are the causes? How are we dealing with it? That's my first question. I've only two.
Wonderful. The scale of the problem is not enormous. As you know, obviously this is dated from a couple of weeks ago. We were circa 98% at that point, so it's not an enormous challenge, and it could be a whole host of reasons. You know, it could be that we make an appointment and the tenant is not in and we can't access the property, all of those sort of things. But as the report details, we are, we have been throughout actively targeting them. We have the same challenge on gas safety inspections throughout the year, those sort of things. There are well tried and tested paths dealing with them, but I don't know if Alan or Cara wants to add anything on. No.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I mean, I think some of the challenges with the FRAs is obviously we're doing FRAs of flat blocks and communal areas, but they still need to get into the block. So if the tenants are not at home and they can't get access, particularly where there's a door entry system, or in some cases residents have fitted their own locks to some of those doors, which we've taken off. So that's been a bit of a challenge, but it always is when you're doing a programme of this size. There's always an element of non-access. So that's why, as we've said clearly in the report, we hope to be 100% by the end of April, and we're just mopping up those few that we haven't been able to get into now.
Councillor Morrison. Oh, hang on, I think we got more.
Sorry. I think also in terms of the no access, it's not necessarily always linked to the fire safety because we're looking at communal areas, but it's also about stock condition. So stock condition is when we are going into every property. So the stock condition is the no access issues. We do have clear processes for no access. We can go down the legal route if we need to. Hopefully we never have to get to that. We do that with gas servicing because obviously there is, again, a safety condition for that. But with stock condition, that's where the no access will start to kick in. But it is a very, very small number and percentage-wise. So we do have clear processes. And people, because they're clearly understanding what we're trying to achieve in improving the stock, improving the homes that they're living in, they are allowing us access in because they realise there is a benefit to them. So.
Okay, thank you. It's comforting to know that it is a very small number. Obviously, residents have been informed. They know that there will be a visit. Yes. And second and last question. Right at the end of the report, in paragraph 14, we are told the property compliance review will commence in May, and it will look at various things as we would expect, damp, mould, etc. And finally, it will look at the council's readiness to implement AWAB's law. I must have misunderstood. I would have thought that the council is more or less already ready to implement AWAB's law. Are we behind on that? What is the position?
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Morrison. We are not saying that we're actually behind. What we want to do is give the regulator assurance that we are ready. And there's a number of changes around AWAB's law which will require immediate responses from the housing team collective to respond. Particularly, it's not just about damp and mould, but predominantly AWAB's law was brought in because of damp and mould issues. So we're not saying that we're not ready, because we are, but we want that independently tested to give the regulator, again, assurance, and we can give the council and cabinet assurance that we are ready and we will be compliant.
Thank you very much. I would like to be assured too.
Any further questions? No. Any comments on this? No. In which case, if we